Hi everyone. In this video, we are going to see one problem from HackerRank. This is a medium level challenge. Okay, let's jump into the question. Okay, so if you see in the left hand side, this is a question which they mentioned. It's basically a challenge. Okay, they have given what is the description about the table and what are the values. It's a sample value. It's not a the final input data. It's a sample to write a SQL query. Okay, so it's kind of exercise. So we'll just jump into the question. So what they are saying is, there is a table which is called occupations. Okay, so in the table we have two columns. Okay, one is name and another one is occupation. So it's about what is the kind of profession they are and who all are there. Okay, so name will have the name of the person and what is the profession he is. Okay. So both are string types. It's a name, so name is again a string and occupation is again a string. In Oracle we don't have string, it's a varchar. So basically you can understand it's a varchar 2 column. Okay, so these are the columns, and the sample data you can see. It's in the name column, you can see the list of names, and in the occupation column, what is the profession the person is doing. Okay, so that's a sample input basically. So what is the output they're expecting is the output column header should be, so that it's a profession is in the row level, right? So it's in the row level, but they want in a column level. Okay, so they mentioned there are 4 different professions we have here data. Sorry. So one is doctor. Oh my bad. Doctor, professor, singer, and actor. Okay, so there are 4 professions we have in the data. Now we need to print in a column wise. Okay, so they want 5 columns, not 5 columns, 4 columns basically. Doctor as one of the column, professor as a second column, singer as third column, and actor as a fourth column. And they want one more thing, like it should be in a column level. So basically what happens here is, if you are trying to understand here, it's a row level, so we can store any number of rows. But if you are bringing this to column level, we can't expect the same number of records for each profession, right? So they are saying like you can print null. What I'm saying is, let's consider the doctor. Okay, we have 5 doctor records in the table. In the actor, we have only 4. Okay, so it means when you are bringing it to column level, doctor will have 5 rows. But in the actor, it should be 4 rows, right? But everything you are retrieving as a single table. What they are saying is, for the 5th record, the actor column will have the null. Basically, whatever the number of rows you get, you can have a value. For other rows, you can have a null value. Okay, so that's what the note they mentioned. And yes, we can do this in 2 ways. Okay, one is through pivot, and another one is through pivot, and another one is through CTE. Okay, so basically CTE is called a with class. We can use to solve SQL statements. Okay, but I'm going to use a CTE here. Why? Because why I'm not going to pivot is, if you see the answers, the sample output here, they want the data should be in a sorted value. Okay, they don't want it not only in a column level, they want the data should be in a sorted level. If you see here, Jenny and Samantha are the doctors. Okay, so basically if you see the values, it's in a sorted level. So it's alphabetical sorted. So if you see the first character, it is J comes as first, then Samantha. So the second profession, which is I believe it's a professor. So if you see, the Ashley comes as first. But if you see here, it's not, if you see the professors, see there are 3 records, Ashley, Katie, and Christine, which is in different order. But if you see the values they are returning, Ashley comes as first because it starts with A, Christian, which starts with C. So they even though the table will have the second record as Katie, but still they returned as Katie. So the ultimate challenge is, we want the data should be in a sorted also in each column. It's not like if you are sorting the column, it will sort through the table, right? But they want the sorted should be on each column level. So if you are sorting by this column, the doctor, obviously the other columns will get sorted accordingly, right? Because it's a single row, it will consider this as a single row. So the Oracle won't sort each column, not like Excel we can do. So instead of going to pivot, I'm going to CTE. I will tell you how we can easily solve in CTE. So this challenge is we are going to see a CTE to solve it. Okay, so before jumping into CTE, so what CTE is like? CTE is a common table expression. So it's common table expression. Basically, it have many advantages. Okay, the first thing is you can, instead of going many inline views, we can have a CTE. Okay, so in many subqueries you have or many inline views you have, everything you can have in a CTE. And the next thing is it can be a recursive. It's a recursive query. Okay, you can, if you want to iterate some records. Okay, basically if you want to iterate something, you always goes to the PL SQL, right? So instead of going to PL SQL, if you want to iterate the data in a SQL level, you can use a CTE. Okay, it's an easy way to use a CTE to do the recursive kind and the iterative the data iteration kind of the operations. Okay, it have many advantages. Let's just jump to see what is the basic syntax about the CTE. Okay, it always starts with with. With is the keyword to say it is a CTE kind of SQL statement. Okay, so and another thing here, we need to change the technology, like what type of technology you are going to implement the challenge. Okay, so I'm selecting as Oracle here. So the hint they said like if at the end of the query you need to add a semicolon, so it will understand the SQL ended. So always you need to have a semicolon. It's basically for the HackerRank or this execution panel they mentioned. So, okay. So basically when you are writing something like select star from dual, what you will return, like you always get the one row with X, right? So basically, don't consider this one because it always validate with the output. So whatever we are returning, it's not a correct output. So that's why it's giving an answer. But I'm just trying to go explain the CTE first instead of jumping into the solution directly. Okay, so if you want to let's goes to the recursive. Okay, so what recursive to do is if you want to, instead of one record, you want something like 10 rows. Okay, if you want to generate some 10 rows, we have another technique. We'll see that in different session, but this one will go for CTE. So I will explain in a CTE way. Okay. So first you need to give us the first keyword is with, which is to inform the server like we are going to use a CTE. So with is the keyword. Then you need to give some alias for the table. Okay. So whatever the data you are going to fetch, you need to give some alias. So I'm giving the alias like CT. Okay. Yes, CT. Then when you are creating any view or something, you always use some as a keyword to assign, right? So this as is to explain what is the data you are going to fetch inside that will be assigned to the CT. Okay, CT is your alias for the data. Okay, so now I have this select star from dual. I'm fetching this value in a CT. Okay, now the data what is inside the select star from dual will move to the CT. Okay, if I'm running the query now, okay, select star from CT. Now this whole thing is a single query. Okay. So what happens now is it will return the same data. Okay. So it will return the same output. So what happening here? The whole data which is moved to CT. Now I'm querying the data from the through CT. Okay. Now I will explain what the more feature in the CT. Okay. Now there are two ways we can use we can call this common table expression. One way is how I'm calling outside this. The other way is even we can call inside this. Okay, so what I'm doing is select. Let's do one thing. So here I'm returning as 1. Okay, Rn is my alias name. Okay, so I'm assigning 1 into Rn instead of X. I want as 1. Okay, so I'm assigning that 1 to Rn. Now what I'm doing is this code. I'm just have to explain the CTE. I'm going to iterate this data based on this Rn column. Okay, so I'm mentioning the column name here. So the CTE will understand, okay, we are going to iterate this column. Okay, so I'm just mentioned the alias name here. Then what I'm doing is I'm just going to use the same column and I'm going to increase 1 every time. Okay, so every time when I'm querying, I want to iterate this data. Now from where? I need to fetch this Rn from where? So the Rn is currently in this query, right? Now this data is already moved to CT. So we can use the same CT again. The whole query is inside CT, okay? But still we can call the same CT inside the Inside the same SQL, we can call that's a more. We need to stop this iteration, right? What happening here? This one will run. It will goes to CT. Then again, this one will run. So it will goes in like recursive. We need to stop it somewhere, right? We need to stop this iteration. Okay, I want only this many rows. So I'm going to stop when rn should be less than or equal to 9. Okay. So I want to iterate only 9 times here. So this one will run once, this query will run 9 times. So totally it will run 10 times. Okay. If you see here what it will return, see, it returns from 1, 2, 3, 4 till 10. See, that's what I said. What happening here? This one will run. It will goes to the RN. So since I said I am going to play with the RN, it moved to CT. I'm running the same CT again. I'm just merging all this data in a single set. Okay. I need to stop this iteration somehow, right? So that's what the condition here. When it is the RN comes to 9. Since my RN is first time it executes, my RN will be 1. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4 till 9. So when the first record fetched, it will be 1 plus 1. So this query always returns from 2 to 10. Okay. This query will return the 1. So I'm merging everything and this one will give the final output. Okay. So whatever inside here, it will be a single statement. Then CT will return the final output. So this is what the output you will get. So this is one way to recurse the data. To explain it more and to understand it better, okay, so I just show you how the data looks in the table and how they want it as an output. Okay, so this is the table data I just pasted here with the sample set of information. So consider this is a table which having two columns, which as mentioned, one is name and another one is profession, and these are the values inside the table. Okay, so instead of this, the left hand side data, they want it as an like this information, like whatever the profession, it should be in a column level, and they want the name of the each profession persons, and it should be in a alphabetical order. And if you see here, the professor having more records and the other having less records. So whatever the mismatched number of rows, we need it as a null, because it doesn't have a data for the each professions according to the maximum number of professions. So we are just showing it as an null. This is what we are trying to achieve through the SQL to get the input, and we are just deriving as an output. Okay, so now jump into this. Sorry, basically this problem. Okay, so now first we need to understand what are the data we need to project the output. Okay, so first we need to find out the constraints we have. Constraints are the steps we need to take to achieve these data. Okay, so what is the thing here? First, we need to find out how many rows we need to build, because since it's a row level, we are going to bring into the column level. Each profession will have different kind of rows, right? Basically, so we need to find out which profession will have more number of rows. So that will be the maximum number of rows you are going to get. I will just explain through the Excel. But so first we need to find out how many rows we need to project first. Then we need to plot the data. So we need to fetch name against each profession. Okay. Each profession we need to fetch the name, because we need to have a 4 different profession, right? We need 4 columns. So we need to fetch 4 different set of data against each profession. Then we need to merge everything into a single table. That's a final output. So when you are fetching this, it should be ordered by the name column. Okay, so that's 3 things we need to do. So first, let's go to the first thing. Okay, so since I'm going to use the CTE, so I always starts with class. Okay, since I'm going to fetch what is the maximum number of rows we need, right? So let's take max rows as my alias. Okay, so that I can understand what this data will return. So okay, so select. First, we need to find out. We need to find the max rows. So I need to find out which profession will have how many data we have From there, I can take the maximum rows, right? So first I need to find out occupation as my column. And then count of one, say count as my alias name. From my table name is occupations. Since I'm using the arithmetic operation, I'm going to group it. So occupation. So this one will return count of against each occupation. Now what I can do is I can take maximum of count. So what it will do, it will, so this is my whole query. What it will do is it will take the maximum count on any particular operation, okay, occupation basically. So against any profession which having more count, it will return. So if the doctor having more number of rows, like example 5 doctor records we have, then the maximum it will return 5. If other professions is less than 5, then it will always return the 5. So now I know maximum I need to build 5 rows here. Okay, so this, if you want to have multiple CTE, okay, then comma is the delimiter. Okay, you can use comma. Then you don't need to mention the with keyword again and again. So the next with CTE, if you are using, you can just use comma and then directly go to the alias name. Okay, so max rows is my first CTE. Now I want to know the second CTE. Second CTE, what it is? I want to fetch the name against each profession. So now I need 4 different queries to take the profession. Since I have 4 different professions, what I'm going to do is I want to know first doctor, right? So now I'm giving the alias name as doctor because this is going to give only the doctor's list. Okay, so select. What I'm going to do is row number. I will tell you why we are going to use row number. So order by name. Okay, so I'm giving alias name as Saran. Then I'm taking this name from this occupation table where my occupation equal to, since I'm going to take this doctor names, so I'm going to give a, so what it will do, it will take list of doctors names with, it is giving some row number for each row because I need to sort the name according to the alphabetical order, right? So I'm assigning the rank here, like I'm using row num. So what it will do is it will arrange the data based on the name. Okay, so this is one of the analytical window class. Okay, so I'm just giving the row num for each name. Okay, likewise, what I have to do is I have to do this for 4 occupations. So instead of doctor, now I need a professor. So I just need a professor. Then third one will be singer. Just changing the singer here, then actor. Okay. Now what I did, now I got the second one. Okay. Now, okay, here I need to add one more point. Now, here we got the rows. Now I need to build the number of rows, right? Let's example the doctor having 5 rows. That's the maximum rows we need to build, but we need to build that 5 rows, right? So for that, we need to build the rows based on point 1. Okay, so that's our third point. Okay, so what we can do is, again I'm going to use another CTE. Okay, let's take, this is row build. Okay, so the easiest way to build the dynamic rows. Okay, I already explained in CTE how to build the dynamic rows, but since you see it's complicated, right? But there is a simple way to build multiple rows. Okay, that's a keyword is level. Okay, level is a Oracle feature where we can build the number of rows you want. Okay, so I'm using dual table. Dual table will always have one record. Now I'm going to change that one row into example of 5 rows. Okay, so since I need to restrict the rows, right, I want to limit the 5 rows. So what I'm going to do is, this is kind of where condition. So I'm going to restrict here. So since I got the max rows, right, so what I'm going to do is select max rows. I already explained the CTE. Sorry, the max row count something. Okay. So max count is my column name from max rows table. Okay. Since it's a CTE, we can use the same CTE clause in everywhere. So I'm just running the table. I'm fetching the data from the table. The column name is max count. So this will return one row because since I'm using the max operation here, it will return one row here. So I'm limiting the records based on the maximum rows I got. Okay. So this, what it will do now is it will return number of rows. Okay. Now I'm going to give alias name for this one. So RN is my alias name. Now we got everything. Okay. I will just explain, not explain. I'm going to show you what each will return. So before that, I will show you the data in the original table because they shown something here, but in the table we may have different values, right? So I'm just showing you. We need to see the values first, right? So if you see here, since there are two columns, right? So if you see the values, Ashley, she's professor. Okay, Samantha as actor. Likewise, we have many records here. Okay. Now I'm going to show you what my each query return. So if you see here, which having more rows. So this one will say which having more rows. Okay. Now I'm running this one. So I'm just running. I'm only fetching the data from the max row. So 7 is my output. Okay. 7 means there is one profession which having 7 rows. It doesn't mean it having 7 rows for one profession. Maybe all the profession having 7 records, or one profession will have 7 records and other professions is less than 7 records. So we need to maximum build 7 rows. So it said 7 rows we need to build. So now we see whether I build the 7 rows or not. Okay. So my row build is the table which returns the rows, right? So let's see whether it built the 7 rows. Yes, it built. See, it returned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So it returned 7 rows with index. Since I'm using level as a column, level always returns from 1 to how many rows you are trying to return. Okay, so I'm just returning 7 rows here. So now I got the static data, means I want to fetch 7 rows. So I got a base table now. Now I got the dynamic tables. Like dynamic tables means each profession. Okay, that's my dynamic data. Now I'm going to connect everything with the row build. Row build is my base table. So I'm going to use left outer. I will tell you why I'm going to use left outer, since we're not sure doctor table will have same number of rows, right? Doctor will have only 5 rows. So instead of I'm going to inner join, if you are going to inner join, it will restrict the rows, right? So I don't want to restrict the rows. I want 7 rows. So I'm going to use doctor table against the row build with left outer join. Okay. Since going to join, I'm going to join based on, I already got RN from row build table, means this is my base table. So this is my index. Okay. I'm going to connect the index against this one with this doctor table. So in the doctor table, I have a index column again, which is again an RN. So I'm going to, if you are having same column name in both the tables, so you need to have a alias name proper. So row build is my table name. So I just mentioned the row build here. Then doctor is my another table. So I mentioned the, likewise, we need to join all the 4 tables. Each profession, we have a different table, right? So I'm going to join everything here. So you need to change the alias name accordingly. So I just changed here. My final table is actor. Now, what it will return is, okay, I will show you what this query returns is. I just blindly joined everything, right? So it will return the data of all the tables. If you see here, it will return the first row because my row build having only one column. So it returned everything 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the second column is from my doctor table. I have 2 columns. One is RN and another one is name, right? So it returned 2. Likewise, it will return all the columns in all the tables. But what is the result we want? We want only the name of each profession. So first we need the name from doctor, because they expecting doctor as first, then professor as second, What I do is I just copy paste it instead of. So I need 4 different values. Okay. So professor is my second one, then finger is my third, then hacker is my fourth. Okay. Now let's see. Okay. So it returns something, right? So from here, this is my data. Okay. So if you see the first column, it will have Amina, Julia, Priya, and remaining as null. Why? Because for doctor profession, we only have 3 different persons. Okay. So we planning to have 7 rows. Why? Because if you see the second profession, which is professor, which having 7 rows. So professor is the maximum number of persons in the table. So which is 7. Okay. That's why only the professor which having everything as a value. For other professions which having null records. Okay. So that's why we build 7 rows. The other rows will have a null. Okay. So why this error is because I have just mentioned the steps here, right? That's why. So I just removed my comments. See, it's passed. Why? Because whatever the data they expected, it's been written. Okay. So that's so this is only for one set of sample. Okay. If you want, they will have many sample. If you see here, the sample test case 0, they will have many test cases. Okay. They will implement with the different. So if you are giving submit code, it will run for all the test cases and it will say how it is. Okay. So it said all the test cases are success. Okay. Since they have only one test case, so it's success, but usually they will have multiple test cases. Okay. But this one doesn't have any test case scenario. So they just used a single test case to pass it. Okay. So that's a final one basically. So we just solved the problem with the CTE. We can go with pivot, but pivot, we need to sort it with the different mechanism. Since I want to show you the CTE, we just go with the CTE approach. If you want to know from the pivot perspective, you can just comment it out. I can explain about with the pivot what we can do to achieve the same output. Okay. If you have any questions regarding the CTE, just comment it out. I will let know. And I'm planning to have a series to explain from the basics to the expert level of SQL. And we can, if you want, I can proceed with PLC call also. And I'm planning to have a challenging questions from HackerRank or some interview questions which is more challenging. Maybe few people got something, and if you are struggling or if you want to understand some particular concept from Oracle with that particular problem, just tag me in the comment section with the question. We can have a discussion on the question, like can have a complete end to end with the particular topic. So this is it. So, thank you all. Thanks for watching. See you all. Bye.